The land does not sleep here. Beneath a sky heavy with ash and clouds, the mountains breathe, slow, ancient, and alive. Deep within their core, pressure builds, a silent force gathering energy until the ground itself trembles in response. Then, without warning, the stillness fractures. A distant rumble spreads across the land, deep and guttural, as molten fire stirs beneath the stone. The volcanoes of the Virunga mountain range awaken, their presence a constant reminder that this is a world still being shaped, still being forged. High above, the mist covers the mountains like a living veil. It spills over jagged ridges and descends into the lower valleys, swallowing entire forests in its path. From a distance, the jungle appears calm, almost untouched. But beneath that shifting blanket of white lies a world in motion, where every shadow conceals life and every sound carries meaning. The canopy stirs. Leaves tremble, branches sway, not because of the wind, but because of something moving within it, massive, deliberate. A dark figure emerges from the dense foliage. Muscles ripple beneath thick fur as it advances, every step measured, every movement intentional. A mountain gorilla, one of the last of its kind. It stops. For a moment, the forest holds its breath. Then, with silent authority, it continues, disappearing once again into the green labyrinth. Here, even giants can vanish. Far above the forest floor, where the air grows thinner and the land breaks into cliffs and rock, another sovereign watches over this untamed domain. With its wings spread wide, an eagle rides the rising currents, circling effortlessly against the vast expanse. Its sharp eyes scan the terrain below, reading the subtle language of movement, a wounded animal, a careless step, an opportunity. In Virunga, nothing goes unnoticed. Life unfolds in layers here, each connected to the next. From the smallest insect clinging to a wet leaf, to the silent hunters stalking through the undergrowth, to the towering forces of earth and fire rising above it all. Every element plays its part in an unrelenting and uninterrupted cycle. But beauty here is never separated from danger. The same mist that nourishes the forest can disorient and isolate. The same fertile ground, born from volcanic ash can, without warning, erupt into destruction. And the same dense vegetation that offers shelter can just as easily conceal a threat ready to strike. This is not a land of balance. It is a land of endurance, of constant negotiation between life and loss, of creatures shaped not by comfort, but by challenge. Every breath, every step, every decision carries weight, because here survival is never guaranteed. And yet, life persists, against the fire, against the isolation, against the odds, because in these mountains, only the resilient remain. Only the adaptable endure, only the strongest survive. This is a place where survival is not given, it is earned. Welcome to the Virunga Mountains. As the mist begins to lift, the grandeur of the mountains gives way to something more intimate and far more relentless. Up close, the landscape of Virunga is not just wild, it is demanding. The terrain is uneven, sculpted by ancient lava flows and softened by relentless rain. Thick vegetation tangles across the land, forcing every creature to navigate a labyrinth of roots, mud, and shadow. Here, movement is never easy. Every step must be chosen, every path carries risk. And in this world of limited space and shifting resources, life exists under constant pressure. In a small clearing, where the canopy briefly opens and sunlight filters through in fragmented beams, a group of antelope grazes cautiously. Their slender bodies move with silent precision, heads lowering toward the grass, only to rise almost immediately again. Ears twitch, muscles tense. They do not remain still for long. Because here, feeding is never just feeding. It is a calculated risk. Every mouthful of grass comes with a question: is this moment safe? The answer is never certain. Beyond the clearing, hidden within the dense undergrowth, something watches. Invisible, silent, patient. A predator moves like a shadow given form. Its body stays low, each step placed with surgical care to avoid even the slightest sound. The forest does not betray it. Leaves do not crunch, branches do not snap. It has done this before, many times. Its eyes lock onto the herd, isolating weakness, searching for hesitation. The individual that strays just a fraction too far, that reacts just a second too late. In Virunga, hesitation can be fatal. The distance between life and death is often measured in moments. The antelope senses something. A pause, a subtle shift in the air. Heads rise in unison. The clearing freezes. For a heartbeat, everything remains perfectly still, suspended in a fragile tension that could shatter at any second. But nothing happens. Not yet. The predator waits. Because here, survival is not only about strength, it is about timing. And timing demands patience. The herd slowly resumes grazing, but the rhythm has changed. The movements are now sharper, more urgent. They feed, but they do not relax. They cannot afford to, because the danger has not disappeared. It has only hidden itself once again. Throughout the Virunga Mountains, this silent conflict unfolds without end. Predator and prey, trapped in a cycle as ancient as the land itself. One survives by taking life. The other survives by escaping it. There is no malice in this exchange, nor cruelty, only necessity. Food is scarce, energy is valuable, and the terrain offers no guarantees. Every creature here is part of this equation, each shaped by the same relentless force, the need to endure. And in this world, vigilance is everything. Letting down your guard, even for a moment, is to invite the inevitable. Because in Virunga, safety is never permanent. It is only temporary. In the heart of Central Africa, where borders blur between nations and nature remains largely untamed, a chain of mountains rises with silent authority. Stretching across Rwanda, Uganda, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo, the Virunga Mountains form one of the most extraordinary landscapes on Earth. This is not a mountain range shaped only by time, but by fire. Born from volcanic forces deep within the planet, the Virunga Mountains are a living reminder of the Earth's restless energy. The peaks rise abruptly from the surrounding plains, their slopes forged by ancient eruptions and rivers of hardened lava. Some volcanoes here still breathe, their presence felt in the warmth of the ground, in the faint smell of sulfur carried by the wind, and in the ever-present possibility of sudden transformation. But it is not only fire that defines this place. It is altitude. From the dense lowland forests at the base, the land begins to rise, slowly at first, then with increasing intensity. The air grows heavier with moisture as the vegetation becomes thicker, richer, more intertwined. This is the realm of towering trees and deep green shadows, where sunlight struggles to reach the forest floor. Higher still, the environment begins to change. The lowland jungle gives way to montane forests, cooler, quieter, and wrapped in an almost constant mist. Moss clings to branches. Vines hang from ancient trunks. Every surface appears alive, covered in layers of growth fed by the mountain's endless supply of moisture. And above that, another world emerges. The alpine zone. Here, the forest thins and finally disappears, replaced by open slopes, rugged terrain, and hardy vegetation built to withstand cold and exposure. The air is thinner now. The nights are colder. The wind moves freely across the peaks, carrying with it a stark reminder. Survival here requires adaptation at every level, because in the Virunga Mountains, altitude is more than elevation. It is transformation. Every step upward redefines the rules of life. And above it all, the climate binds these layers together in a constant and shifting cycle. Rain falls frequently, sometimes gently, sometimes in relentless torrents that reshape the land below. Mist appears without warning, swallowing entire hillsides in seconds. Temperatures drop sharply after sunset, turning even the lushest environments into places of silent and penetrating cold. This is not a stable world. It is a dynamic one. A place where conditions can change in moments, where environments overlap like separate realms, each with its own challenges, its own rhythms, its own inhabitants. From steaming volcanic ground to icy mountain air, from the dense shadows of the jungle to the exposed alpine ridges, the Virunga Mountains are not defined by a single landscape. They are defined by contrast. And within these shifting altitudes, life adapts in extraordinary ways. Beneath the towering heights of the Virunga Mountains lies a world that rarely reveals itself completely all at once. It breathes in layers. From above, the forest appears as an uninterrupted sea of green, dense, impenetrable, almost motionless. But upon entering beneath the canopy, that illusion dissolves instantly. Here, the air is thick with humidity, heavy with the smell of earth and decay, and alive with a constant and intricate symphony of sounds. The forest is never silent. A low and continuous hum fills the air, subtle at first, then impossible to ignore. Insects vibrate within the undergrowth, their calls overlapping in a complex rhythm that pulses through every corner of the jungle. Every buzz, every click, every faint vibration carries meaning. A warning, a signal, a mating call, a declaration of territory. Above, the leaves move and whisper. Not because of the wind, but because of movement. Something unseen shifts among the branches. A flash of motion, vanishing almost as quickly as it appears. Sunlight filters through the canopy in scattered beams, illuminating fragments of life, fluttering wings, twitching antennae, eyes reflecting the light for an instant before disappearing once again. In the forests of Virunga, visibility is an illusion. Life surrounds you, even when you cannot see it. A bird cuts through the dense foliage, its wings beating rapidly as it navigates the narrow spaces between branches. It lands briefly, tilting its head, watching the forest floor below. Its colors, vivid and striking, contrast against the deep greens and browns of its surroundings. For a moment, it becomes the focal point of the forest. Then, it disappears, instantly replaced by something smaller. A line of ants marches across a fallen branch, each following a chemical trail invisible to the eye but precise in its direction. They move with purpose, carrying fragments of leaves, parts of the forest itself, back to a colony hidden somewhere beneath the ground, individually insignificant, together unstoppable. Every inch of this forest is occupied. Every surface supports life. Tree trunks are covered in moss and lichens, turning solid wood into living ecosystems. Fungi bloom in damp corners, feeding on decay and returning nutrients to the soil. Vines twist tightly around branches, climbing toward the light in a slow and relentless advance. Even the ground is in motion. Beneath layers of fallen leaves, unseen creatures dig, feed, and transform the earth itself. Nothing here is wasted. Nothing remains unused. Because in this environment, survival depends on efficiency, on adaptation, on finding a role within the system and holding on to it. The forest is not a collection of separate lives. It is a network, interconnected, interdependent, constantly changing. A bird feeds on insects. The insects feed on plants. The plants draw life from the soil. And the soil is built from everything that once lived before. A cycle without beginning or end. And yet, despite all its richness, this world is not free from danger, because the same density that sustains life also conceals threats. Predators move through the same shadows. Eyes watch from behind the leaves. Silence can fall without warning, not as peace, but as a sign that something unseen has entered the scene. Here, even the smallest movement matters. Even the faintest sound can mean survival, or its sudden end. This is the living forest of Virunga. A world beneath the canopy where life thrives in abundance and where every moment is part of something far greater than itself. On the mist-covered slopes of the Virunga Mountains, where the forest grows colder and quieter, a different presence moves through the undergrowth. Not hidden, not hurried, but deliberate and powerful. A branch bends, leaves part, and from the pale veil of drifting mist, a massive figure emerges. The mountain gorilla. It does not need speed to command presence. Its size alone is enough. Muscles ripple beneath thick dark fur as it moves with slow and controlled confidence, every step heavy, yet surprisingly silent upon the forest floor. This is not just another inhabitant of the mountains. This is one of their rulers. At the center of every gorilla group stands a single dominant male, the silverback. Named for the streak of pale fur running across his back, he is both leader and protector, the axis around which the entire family turns. He decides where they travel, where they feed, when they rest. But his role is not defined only by dominance. It is defined by responsibility. Around him, the group moves in silent harmony. The females forage through the dense vegetation, pulling leaves and stems with practiced ease. The juveniles climb low branches, testing their strength, their coordination, their place within the group. And the youngest ones, tiny, fragile, and endlessly curious, remain close, rarely straying far from the safety of the adults. The silverback watches everything. He does not move constantly. He does not impose control constantly. A younger gorilla approaches cautiously, lowering his head in a subtle gesture of submission. The silverback acknowledges him with little more than a glance. There is no need for aggression here. Authority is understood, not constantly enforced. Moments later, the tension dissolves into something softer. Two gorillas sit beside one another, their enormous hands surprisingly gentle as they groom each other. Fingers move carefully through the fur, removing dirt, parasites, and debris. It is a simple act, yet one that strengthens bonds, reinforces trust, and maintains the unity of the group. Strength here is not only physical, it is social. Nearby, an infant clings tightly to its mother's chest, its tiny fingers gripping her fur as she moves through the forest. It watches everything, learning, observing, absorbing the rhythms of a life that depends on awareness and connection. The silverback remains close, without intervening, but ready. Because in Virunga, even giants must be prepared. A sudden sound echoes faintly through the trees. The group freezes. In an instant, the atmosphere changes. The silverback rises. His posture shifts, no longer relaxed, but alert, imposing. He steps forward, positioning himself between the sound and the rest of the group. His chest expands. His gaze sharpens. For a moment, the forest itself seems to hesitate. Nothing emerges. No threat reveals itself, but the message is clear. If danger comes, he will face it first. Slowly, the tension fades. The group returns to its calm rhythm, feeding, grooming, moving as one. Because despite their immense strength, mountain gorillas are not creatures of conflict. They are creatures of balance, gentle when undisturbed, powerful when necessary. living in a world where survival is not about domination, but about protection, cohesion, and trust within the family. In the mist-covered forests of Virunga, these giants endure not because they are the strongest alone, but because they are stronger together. Within the mist-laden forests of the Virunga Mountains, survival is not only a matter of strength or instinct, it is a matter of connection. At the heart of every guerrilla group lies something deeper than hierarchy, a network of bonds that keeps the family united through uncertainty, danger, and change. Here, life does not begin with independence, but with dependence. A baby gorilla clings tightly to its mother's chest. Its world, for now, is small, defined by warmth, movement, and the steady rhythm of her breathing. Every step she takes becomes its journey. Every pause, its moment of rest. Its tiny fingers cling to her fur with surprising strength, refusing to let go, not even for a second. Because in these early days, letting go is not an option. The forest is too unpredictable, too vast. As the infant grows, curiosity begins to emerge. It loosens its grip, centimeter by centimeter, until it dares to explore the world on its own. A few steps away, then a few more. It stumbles, regains its balance, and tries again, learning not through instruction, but through experience. Nearby, an older juvenile watches, then joins in. What begins as exploration quickly becomes play. They chase, tumble, and climb low branches, their movements clumsy, yet full of energy. To an outside observer, it may seem like simple fun, but within these moments lies something far more important. Practice. Every leap strengthens muscles, every fall teaches limits, every interaction builds understanding. Because play is how young gorillas prepare for a life where every movement carries consequences. A mother watches from a short distance away, her attention never fully drifting. She allows space, but not too much. When the infant wanders too far, she reaches out, pulling it back with calm firmness. There is no panic, no harshness, only guidance. And always, the presence of the group surrounds them. Gorillas rarely exist in isolation. They move, feed, and rest as a unit, each individual contributing to the stability of the whole. When one feeds, others remain alert. When one rests, others keep watch. It is a shared responsibility, built into their behavior. Even moments of stillness carry meaning. Two females sit beside one another, their bodies relaxed as they groom each other in slow and deliberate movements. Nearby, a juvenile leans against an older gorilla, comforted by its presence. These are not random interactions. They are reinforcements of trust, signals of belonging. Because in Virunga, survival is not only about avoiding predators or finding food, it is about remaining connected. A sudden crack echoes through the forest. Instantly, the group tightens together. The infants are pulled closer. Movement slows. Eyes scan the surroundings. No one is left behind. No one is forgotten. The tension lasts only for a moment before fading, but the response is instinctive, an unspoken agreement that safety lies in unity. And as the group begins to move again, the youngest follow closely, learning not only how to survive, but how to belong. Because for mountain gorillas, life is not an individual struggle. It is a shared journey, where strength is found in closeness, safety in trust, and survival in the bonds that keep them together. In the dense, mist-filled forests of the Virunga Mountains, peace is never permanent. For mountain gorillas, survival depends not only on unity within the group, but on control over the space they inhabit. Territory is everything. It defines access to food, to shelter, to safety, and for the dominant silverback, it defines his authority. Boundaries are not marked by visible lines, but by presence, by scent, by movement, by memory. Every group knows where it belongs, but sometimes those boundaries blur. A low and distant growl echoes through the forest. At first, it is subtle, almost indistinguishable from the natural sounds of the jungle. But for the gorillas, it carries a clear message. Another group is near. The silverback reacts instantly. His posture tightens, his head lifting as he listens. Around him, the group falls silent. Movement slows. Even the juveniles sense the change, moving closer to the adults. This is no longer routine, this is tension. From the dense vegetation, shapes begin to emerge. Another family, moving cautiously yet with equal confidence. At their center, a second silverback steps forward, his enormous figure partially concealed by shadow. For a moment, the forest holds two leaders, two forces, neither willing to yield. The air thickens with anticipation. Then it begins. A deep and resonant roar breaks the silence, vibrating through the trees like a warning carried by the earth itself. The first silverback rises to his full height, his chest expanding as he unleashes a powerful display of sound and presence. He beats his chest with rapid and thunderous strikes, each impact echoing outward like a declaration. This is his territory. The opposing silverback responds in the same way. He steps forward, mirroring the display, roaring, advancing several steps and stopping abruptly. Leaves scatter beneath his weight, branches snap under the force of his movement. It is not yet an attack, but it is a challenge. Both face each other, separated by only a short distance. Around them, their groups remain tense, yet motionless, watching, waiting. Because these encounters are rare, and when they happen, they matter. Most conflicts between guerrilla groups are resolved through these displays alone. Strength is communicated without the need for physical contact. Energy is conserved. Risk is minimized. But not always. A sudden movement, one silverback lunges forward. For a fraction of a second, the forest erupts. Bodies collide. Massive arms swing with controlled force. The sound of impact echoes through the undergrowth. It is brief, chaotic, and intense. Two immense beings testing each other, measuring their strength, asserting their dominance. Then, as quickly as it began, it ends. One steps back, not defeated, but yielding. The message has been delivered. The confrontation dissolves as both groups begin to withdraw, slowly creating distance once again. There is no pursuit, no prolonged battle. Because even in conflict, there are limits. Injuries here can be fatal, not immediately, but over time. A weakened leader places the entire group at risk. And because of this, these encounters remain measured, calculated, and rare. The forest returns to its calm rhythm. But something has changed. The territory has been tested, power has been reaffirmed, and for now, balance is restored. Because in the Virunga Mountains, control is never absolute. It is maintained, defended, and always, eventually, challenged again. Not all life in the Virunga Mountains moves with the weight and presence of gorillas. Some exist in the spaces above them. Hidden within the shifting layers of branches and leaves, another world unfolds, faster, lighter, and far more elusive. Here, in the upper parts of the forest, primates of a different kind navigate a life defined not by strength, but by speed. A golden flash cuts through the green canopy. For an instant it appears, and then disappears again, as if swallowed by the forest itself. The golden monkey moves with astonishing agility, its slender body launching from branch to branch in a blur of motion. Its long tail acts as a counterbalance, guiding every leap with precision. It does not hesitate. It cannot afford to. Life in the trees demands constant movement. Branches sway under shifting weight. Gaps appear without warning. One miscalculation, one failed grip, one weak branch, and the fall could be fatal. That is why the golden monkey moves as though it knows the forest intimately. Because it does. It pauses only briefly, clinging to a narrow branch while scanning its surroundings. Its bright fur catches the filtered sunlight, standing out against the darker greens of the canopy. Around it, others emerge, members of its group, each equally alert, equally restless. There is safety in numbers. But even here, safety is never guaranteed. With a sudden burst of energy, the group scatters, leaping, climbing, disappearing into different layers of the forest. Their movements are fast, unpredictable, almost chaotic. Yet beneath that apparent disorder lies coordination, an unspoken awareness of one another's positions. Because separation, even in the trees, carries risk. Not far away, another presence moves more slowly, but no less deliberately. A colobus monkey emerges onto a higher branch, its long, black and white fur flowing with each careful step. Unlike the golden monkeys, it does not rush. Its movements are measured, controlled, conserving energy as it navigates the canopy. It reaches toward the leaves, feeding with calm focus, its fingers selecting only what it needs. Below, the forest floor remains distant, an entirely different world. For arboreal primates, the trees are both pathway and refuge. They offer food, protection, and an elevated vantage point above the dangers moving through the undergrowth. But they also demand constant awareness, because predators can climb, and threats can come from above just as easily as from below. A sudden crack breaks the rhythm. The golden monkeys freeze mid-motion. The colobus lifts its head. For a brief moment, the canopy itself seems to hold its breath. Then, just as quickly as it began, movement resumes, because in this environment, remaining still for too long is just as dangerous as moving carelessly. The forest rewards those who adapt, those who can read the subtle language of branches, shadows, and sound, those who can move without hesitation. Here, survival is measured in fractions of a second, in the speed of a leap, in the strength of a grip, in the ability to disappear before danger fully reveals itself. In the layered world above the forest floor, these inhabitants of the shadows thrive, not through dominance, but through agility, awareness, and an almost constant state of movement. Because, in Virunga's canopy, remaining still is to be seen, and to be seen is to be vulnerable. In the dense forests of the Virunga Mountains, not all hunters announce their presence. Some are never seen. The forest appears motionless, unmoving, silent in a way that feels almost unnatural. The constant hum of insects fades. The birds fall silent. Even the wind seems to hesitate as it brushes against the leaves. Something has changed, but nothing is visible. This is how it begins. Somewhere within the tangled undergrowth, hidden by shadow and foliage, a leopard moves. It does not rush. It does not reveal itself. Every step is placed with absolute precision, its padded paws absorbing sound as it moves through the forest. Muscles tighten beneath its spotted fur, blending perfectly with the fragmented patterns of light and shadow. In this environment, camouflage is not an advantage. It is perfection. The leopard stops. Ahead, barely visible through the dense vegetation, a small antelope grazes. Its movements are cautious, but not cautious enough. It lowers its head, focused on feeding, unaware of the presence approaching with silent intent. The distance between them closes. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, a single misstep could ruin everything. A branch snapping, a rustle of leaves. Even the slightest sound could turn opportunity into failure. So the leopard waits, because patience is its most powerful weapon. Time stretches. The forest holds its breath. The antelope suddenly raises its head. Its ears point forward, catching something faint, something out of place. For a moment, it remains completely still, scanning the undergrowth. Its muscles tighten, ready to react. But it sees nothing. Because there is nothing to see, the leopard has become part of the forest itself, a shadow among shadows. The antelope returns to grazing, and the moment arrives. In a sudden explosion of movement, the silence is shattered. The leopard lunges forward, fast, precise, unstoppable. Leaves scatter as its body cuts through the undergrowth, closing the distance in seconds. The antelope reacts instantly, fleeing in a desperate attempt to escape. But it is already too late. Speed meets surprise. Power meets vulnerability. The forest erupts into chaos for one brief and violent moment, then falls silent once more. The struggle ends as quickly as it began, and the predator is left alone once again, breathing calmly, victorious. Yet even in success, there is no excess, there is no celebration. The leopard drags its prey toward denser cover, away from open view. Because in Virunga, even predators must remain cautious. There are no guarantees here, only moments of advantage, moments earned through patience, precision, and an almost perfect understanding of the environment. Because the leopard does not dominate this world through strength alone. It dominates through invisibility, through silence, through the ability to exist without being noticed, until the exact moment it decides to be. And by then, it is already too late. The forest holds its breath. Every leaf, every branch, every ray of filtered light seems suspended in anticipation. The usual symphony of buzzing insects and distant calls has faded into muted silence. Even the mist feels thicker, heavier, as if it senses the tension building beneath the canopy. And somewhere within this green labyrinth, a predator waits. A leopard crouches low, its body pressed to the ground. Muscles ripple beneath its spotted coat, tense and ready. Its eyes narrow, pupils fixed on a small herd of antelope grazing unsuspectingly in a sunlit clearing. Every movement of the prey is amplified, exaggerated by the predator's sharp focus. Every flick of an ear, every shift of weight is registered. Patience is the hunter's weapon, silence its armor. Time stretches unnaturally. A heartbeat becomes a second becomes an eternity. The leopard advances centimeter by centimeter, paw after paw absorbed by the soft forest floor, making no sound, leaving no trace. Its spotted body seems to dissolve into the shadows. The prey moves, grazing near the edge of the cover. One antelope raises its head, nostrils flaring, ears twitching. For a moment it senses danger, then relaxes, unaware that the danger has already closed half the distance. Then the world tilts. In an instant, the leopard bursts forward. Its body flows through the air, a perfect arc of muscle and speed. Leaves scatter like rain, branches snap beneath the force of the impact. Not even slow motion could capture the elegance, the precision, the inevitability of the attack. Claws extend, teeth flash, and the distance between hunter and prey disappears in an instant. The antelope reacts, leaping, twisting, in a desperate surge driven by instinct, but the outcome is already written. The leopard's jaws close around its target. The forest erupts into a cacophony of rustling leaves and pounding hooves. A struggle follows, frantic, brutal, yet measured. The predator does not hesitate. It adjusts, uses its strength, and guides the prey toward cover. Minutes seem to stretch as the confrontation unfolds, though in reality it ends within only a few heartbeats. Survival hangs by a thread. Then silence returns. The clearing becomes still again, disturbed only by the faint rustling of leaves. The antelope lies subdued, its life ended with a precision as efficient as it is final. The leopard remains over its prey, chest heaving, eyes alert for other threats. Even in victory, caution remains. Slowly, it drags the prey into the dense foliage, hiding the death from opportunistic scavengers. Every action is deliberate. Every movement has purpose. Here, nothing is wasted, and every moment carries weight. Because in Virunga, hunting is not a sport. It is necessity. It is survival reduced to its purest form: patience, precision, strength, and instinct combined into one continuous act. And for those who live in the shadows of the forest, it is a lesson written in silence and consequence. One wrong step, one ignored signal, and the forest itself will remind you of your place. In the end, the hunt is not only about the predator. It is about the fragile and fleeting balance of life in the mountains, a world where every attack echoes through the undergrowth and every outcome shapes the rhythm of survival. In the Virunga Mountains, life is a careful negotiation. For those who graze, every meal comes with a question: is this moment safe? A small herd of antelope moves cautiously through a clearing speckled with sunlight. Their slender bodies glide across the uneven terrain, hooves brushing fallen leaves and soft earth. Heads lower toward the grass, then rise again, eyes scanning, ears twitching, every sense alert to the slightest hint of movement or scent. Nearby, duikers, small and elusive forest antelope, move through the dense undergrowth. Their quick, abrupt movements contrast with the measured steps of the larger antelope, but both share the same rule: vigilance is life. Grazing is never simple. Every mouthful of grass is a compromise. The forest offers food, but it also conceals predators. A shadow flickers between the trunks, a branch moves slightly, enough to provoke a tense pause within the herd. Muscles tighten, tails flick. Breathing becomes slow, measured against the rhythm of an invisible danger. Yet feeding cannot stop completely. Energy must be replenished, growth must continue. The youngest practice cautious exploration, imitating the movements of the adults, learning which plants are safe to eat and how to move without revealing themselves. Every step is a lesson in survival. The duiker's strategy is different. They rely on speed and discretion, moving rapidly through narrow corridors of vegetation that predators cannot easily cross. Their lives unfold in bursts of movement, every sprint a test of reflexes, every pause a careful assessment of danger. The forest itself dictates behavior. Dense shadows offer hiding places, but limit visibility. Sunlit clearings provide food, but increase vulnerability. Antelope and duikers constantly adapt, adjusting their routes and timing to match the rhythms of the environment and the movements of the predators stalking them. A subtle sound, a branch snapping, a rustling of leaves, triggers immediate attention. The herd of antelope freezes, muscles tense like compressed springs. The duikers disappear into the undergrowth. Silence spreads, almost unbearable, until the threat passes or reveals itself. These moments define life here, a continuous cycle of feeding and alertness, nourishment and caution. Survival is not guaranteed, but it is possible for those who can read the forest, interpret the signals, and move with awareness. Young animals learn quickly: one wrong step, one delayed reaction, one moment of distraction, and the forest claims its price. Every encounter, every pause, every subtle adjustment is practice for the inevitable challenge, the hunt. And yet, despite the constant risk, life continues. The antelope graze, the duikers run, insects buzz, birds flutter overhead, and the forest pulses with silent abundance. It is a delicate balance, maintained through awareness, timing, and instinct. For prey animals in the Virunga Mountains, existence is lived on the edge. Every meal is a negotiation with danger. Every step is a decision between survival and exposure. And every day is a reminder: here, life is valuable precisely because it is never safe. As the sun sinks behind the jagged peaks of the Virunga Mountains, the forest undergoes a profound transformation. The light fades in slow golden waves, replaced by shadows that deepen into almost complete darkness. Mist coils between the tree trunks, and the temperature drops sharply, sending a chill through the undergrowth. Night is not silent here. It is a different kind of life, governed by senses beyond sight. Insects awaken, their buzzing and clicking forming a complex and unceasing symphony. Grasshoppers chirp, beetles scrape against leaves. The rhythmic hum of cicadas pulses through the air like a heartbeat. Above, a silent hunter takes flight. An owl glides between the branches, its wings nearly soundless. Its large, reflective eyes search for movement. A faint rustle, a mouse, an insect, a frog, triggers a sudden tilt of its head, and then, almost imperceptibly, the hunt begins. Every beat of its wings, every adjustment of its talons, is calculated with precision. Below, predators adopt their own nocturnal patterns. Leopards, already masters of silence, move with even greater caution. Every placement of a paw, every movement of a whisker, is measured. The forest is a labyrinth of opportunities and threats, and the night intensifies the stakes. Amid this activity, prey species remain alert. Antelope and duikers gather in shadows or near cover, ears constantly moving, muscles tense, ready to leap at any moment. Even in darkness, danger is omnipresent. Survival depends more on awareness and instinct than on sight. Every sound is amplified in the stillness. The snap of a branch echoes like thunder. The distant roar of a silverback gorilla carries authority even at night. The rustling of leaves suggests hidden movement. Here, the forest communicates through whispers, vibrations, and signals that humans would struggle to interpret. And yet, life continues. Frogs croak in small pools. Insects trace invisible paths across damp leaves. Bats cross the clearings, capturing prey in mid-flight. Every species has adapted to the rhythm of darkness, mastering senses that daylight leaves in the background. Even the mountains themselves seem to breathe at night. Mist coils around the volcanic slopes. Cold air settles into the valleys. The scent of wet earth and decaying leaves fills the senses. Night is both protective and threatening, a time for concealment, hunting, and survival. For those who thrive beneath the cloak of darkness, Virunga becomes a stage of extraordinary skill. Predators stalk unseen. Prey detect danger without needing to see it. Insects and small mammals orchestrate an endless performance of survival. Every moment is a testament to adaptation. And when the first light of dawn begins to filter through the canopy, the nocturnal symphony fades. The forest exhales. Shadows shrink. The night hunters retreat. In Virunga, darkness is not simply the absence of light. It is a world of its own, a parallel rhythm of life where vigilance, stealth, and instinct define every heartbeat, every movement, every breath. Above the dense green canopy of the Virunga Mountains, a different kind of life takes center stage. Here, in the vast openness above the forest, birds dominate the skies, bringing color, sound, and movement to a world that would otherwise be ruled by shadows. A crowned crane walks gracefully through a sunlit clearing, its long legs carrying it with elegance. Its feathers shine with subtle iridescence, and the delicate crown atop its head glows with golden light. Every step is measured, deliberate, a combination of balance and poise that suggests both beauty and resilience. Higher above, turacos flash between the trees. Their emerald and crimson plumage catches the sunlight in sudden bursts of brilliance, a vibrant contrast against the muted greens and browns of the surrounding forest. They leap from branch to branch with remarkable agility, their tails extending like stabilizers as they navigate the canopy with precision. Every movement is a testament to adaptation, flight and balance, perfected over generations to survive among the dense branches. From above, the forest seems alive in a different way. Wings cut through the rays of light, creating fleeting patterns of color and shadow across the forest floor. Calls echo out, clear, melodious, sometimes alarmed, sometimes playful. They serve as communication, warning, or invitation. The air itself becomes a medium of connection, a network of sight and sound that crosses the multiple layers of the mountains. Flight is not simply movement here, it is survival. Birds search for food, looking for insects, seeds, or fruits hidden among leaves and flowers. Some hunt actively, diving from above with sudden precision. Others glide calmly, conserving energy while maintaining awareness of both prey and predator. Every flight, every perch, every pause has a purpose. And yet, even in this realm of freedom, danger is never far away. Birds of prey circle overhead, their eyes scanning the forest floor in search of a careless creature. Predators such as leopards can climb, waiting beneath the branches. Birds must balance the need to feed with the constant vigilance the forest demands. The images are hypnotic. A pair of turacos crosses through sunbeams, their wings beating in rhythmic harmony, leaving trails of red and green against the mottled background. A crowned crane spreads its wings widely, revealing the intricate patterns of its feathers before folding them with practiced grace. Every movement tells a story of adaptation, of conserved energy and perfected skill. Even the smallest birds contribute to the rhythm of the forest. Hummingbirds hover with almost complete invisibility, their tiny wings vibrating so rapidly that the air itself seems to hum. They sip nectar, pollinate flowers, and disappear again into the maze of foliage. In the skies above Virunga, life moves with elegance, speed, and color. Flight is freedom, yes, but also a constant negotiation with gravity, wind, and invisible dangers. Here, the canopy is not the limit, it is the stage. The sky above the jungle is alive. Every flap, every call, every fleeting movement is a reminder that survival in the mountains is not limited to the ground. It extends upward into the vibrant, dazzling, and unpredictable world of birds. The Virunga Mountains are a land shaped as much by water as by rock. Here, the sky governs life with moods as unpredictable as they are relentless. Clouds gather suddenly over rugged peaks, thickening into a low blanket that hides the sun. Rain begins as a whisper, a soft tapping against the leaves, a dampness in the air, and quickly intensifies into curtains of water that lash the forest. For the animals that call Virunga home, the weather is never incidental. It dictates movement, feeding patterns, and the very rhythm of life. Mountain gorillas, accustomed to mist and rain, cluster together more during intense downpours. Their thick fur repels water, but never completely insulates against the cold that seeps through. Infants cling more tightly to their mothers, learning the unspoken rules of comfort and endurance. Mud forms quickly, slippery and treacherous. The hooves of antelopes sink slightly with every step, slowing their movements and forcing caution. Predators adapt as well. Leopards move stealthily, their paws sinking into the soft earth as they approach prey. Stealth becomes more difficult, but opportunities often arise when the vigilance of prey is slowed by the elements. Every rain is both a challenge and an opportunity. High altitudes bring another challenge, the cold. Nights descend almost to the freezing point, even in the heart of equatorial Africa. Mist winds through the valleys like ghostly snakes, and moisture clings equally to fur and feathers. Birds puff up their plumage to trap heat. Arboreal primates huddle together, sharing body warmth. Survival is a combination of physiology and behavior, a delicate balance between adaptation and instinct. Fog and low clouds create a surreal and muted world. Visibility is reduced to only a few meters. The movements of predators and prey slow, sounds are muffled, and the forest seems suspended in a silent and tense anticipation. For all animals, the fog demands sharpened senses, listening, smelling, feeling. Life becomes measured, deliberate, cautious. Even feeding is affected. The surfaces of fruits and leaves are slippery. Insects hide beneath the leaves. Antelopes take smaller bites, watchful for slips or the sudden appearance of a predator. Gorillas forage more methodically, plucking leaves with careful precision, conserving energy while remaining alert. Every action is moderated by the weather. And yet, life persists. Streams grow, but they provide water. Rain nourishes the plants and replenishes the vibrant vegetation of the forest. The very forces that challenge the animals are the ones that sustain them. Adaptation is constant. Observation, timing, and collective behavior determine survival in these ever-changing conditions. In Virunga, the sky is never passive. It dictates the rhythm, tests endurance, and shapes life at every level. Mud, rain, cold, and fog are not merely obstacles, they are defining elements of existence. Here, survival is not only about strength or cunning, it is about resilience and about moving through a world where the skies themselves decide the rules. Beneath the towering peaks and mist-covered slopes of the Virunga Mountains, life begins with plants. They are the silent architects of the forest, the foundation upon which every predator, every prey animal, every bird and insect depends. Without them, the intricate web of survival would collapse. Bamboo forests stretch in dense thickets, their leaves swaying to the rhythm of the wind. Their hollow stalks rise like natural towers, providing both food and shelter. Mountain gorillas feed here, tearing shoots and stalks with practiced precision, while duikers and other herbivores nibble the tender leaves, their sharp teeth shaping the cycles of growth and regeneration of these plants. Bamboo is resilient, regenerating quickly after grazing, yet every bite tells a story of consumption, survival, and ecological balance. Trees dominate the middle and upper layers of the forest, their canopies interweaving to form a living roof. The branches shelter birds, monkeys, insects, and countless smaller organisms. Leaves capture sunlight, driving photosynthesis, and in doing so, sustain the countless herbivores feeding below. Fruit trees offer nourishment, while flowers provide sustenance to pollinators such as hummingbirds and insects. Every plant is a node in the broader food web, and its presence is felt far beyond its immediate surroundings. The forest floor, often hidden beneath a carpet of fallen leaves and decaying vegetation, is a center of activity. Insects break down organic matter, releasing nutrients into the soil, while seedlings emerge upward in search of light. Here, regeneration is constant. Every fallen tree becomes a nursery for new growth. Every area of disturbed soil is an opportunity for seedlings to take root. Life, death, and rebirth coexist seamlessly, forming the cyclical heartbeat of the forest. Plants also shape animal behavior. Gorillas follow seasonal growth patterns, moving between areas in search of fresh shoots. Antelopes and duikers graze in zones dictated by plant availability, while predators adjust their hunting strategies according to where prey is likely to feed. Even birds synchronize their breeding cycles with flowering and fruiting seasons. Every species is, in part, a response to the rhythm of the plants surrounding it. Bamboo forests, moss-covered trees and dense undergrowth are more than a landscape. They are the infrastructure of the forest, supporting weight, providing cover, and maintaining moisture and soil stability. They protect water sources, absorb rain, and help regulate the microclimate. Every stalk, leaf, and root contributes to the delicate balance of life in Virunga. Walking through the forest is witnessing this foundation in action. Leaves crackle as monkeys leap overhead. Shoots bend beneath the weight of gorillas. Birds flutter from branch to branch, pollinating and dispersing seeds. Insects scurry, decomposing and fertilizing the soil. It is a world where plants and animals exist in a continuous dialogue, each shaping the other. In Virunga, no species survives alone. Plants sustain life, animals redistribute it, and together they form an ecosystem both delicate and powerful. Here, the foundation of everything is alive, and every interaction reinforces the fragile and interconnected web of survival. Beneath the lush green canopy of the Virunga Mountains, the earth is alive in a way that is both terrifying and essential. Rivers of molten rock bubble deep within the crust, reminding every creature above of the raw power that shapes this land. The most notorious of these is Nyiragongo, whose summit is often shrouded in smoke and whose crater glows like the heart of the planet itself. From a distance, rivers of lava glow like molten fire flowing through the darkness of the night, illuminating the forest with an eerie and supernatural light. The intense heat radiates even across kilometers, a constant reminder of the danger lurking beneath the seemingly serene landscape. Animals instinctively avoid the areas closest to volcanic activity, sensing the tremors and subtle changes that precede eruptions. Survival here demands awareness not only of predators, prey, and weather, but of the earth itself. And yet, this danger brings a paradoxical fertility. Volcanic ash, rich in minerals, falls upon the soil and nourishes the forest. Plants thrive where lava once flowed. Bamboo shoots grow faster than elsewhere, leaves shine with greater vitality, and fruit trees produce more abundant harvests. The same forces that threaten life also provide the foundation for abundance, a delicate balance that has shaped Virunga's ecosystems for millennia. The mountains themselves change shape imperceptibly over time. Fissures open, steam escapes, and clouds of volcanic gas mix with the forest mist, giving the canopy an ethereal, almost mystical quality. This constant movement reminds all who inhabit the slopes that life is never static. Every species, from gorillas to duikers, adapts to an ever-changing landscape. Migration, feeding, and nesting routes are influenced by the constant murmur of the Earth's interior. Nyiragongo's eruptions are sudden and spectacular. Rivers of incandescent lava descend the slopes, consuming everything in their path, yet leaving behind areas of enriched soil. Birds flee the skies in dark flocks. Gorilla groups retreat to higher, safer ground. Insects disappear into hidden shelters. For a moment, the mountains become a theater of destruction, but soon life reclaims its place. This tension between creation and destruction is visible everywhere. Volcanic rock cracks, yet moss and lichens cling stubbornly to its surface. Seeds fall into beds of hardened lava, eventually sprouting into young plants that promise renewal. The forest adapts, evolving around the rhythms of the Earth's fiery heartbeat. In Virunga, the volcano is both a threat and a benefactor. It demands respect, inspires awe, and shapes the very nature of survival. Every living being must navigate this duality, fear the heat and rivers of lava, and yet depend on the fertility they bring. The mountains breathe, and in doing so, dictate the rhythm of life. Here, danger and abundance are inseparable. Fire and life coexist, bound together in an eternal dance, reminding all who dwell above that survival is not earned through cunning or strength alone, but through the ability to exist in harmony with the ever-changing earth beneath their feet. In the Virunga Mountains, movement is subtle, measured and dictated by necessity. Unlike the massive migrations of the Serengeti, survival here depends on smaller-scale displacements, carefully calibrated according to the rhythms of the forest, the slopes, and the seasons. Life is a constant negotiation with the environment, and every step has meaning. Groups of gorillas adjust their territory daily, following the availability of fresh leaves and shoots. Their roots wind through bamboo thickets, over moss-covered rocks, and along muddy trails shaped by heavy rains. Even the slightest change in food supply, a tree fruiting earlier than expected, a fallen bamboo shoot can alter the trajectory of an entire troop. Every movement is intentional, a strategy to maximize nutrition while minimizing risk. Antelopes and duikers practice similar vigilance. They follow the subtle growth of vegetation, moving between clearings and dense cover as the forest shifts between rainy and dry periods. Unlike the massive migrations of the open savannas, these movements are measured in hours and days rather than weeks and months. A patch of tender grass, a sheltered stream, or a cluster of hanging fruits can determine the course of the day. Even birds and small arboreal mammals participate in this dance of survival. Turacos, golden monkeys, and colobus monkeys move among the trees and different levels of the forest, following flowering cycles or swarms of insects. Their movements are less visible, but equally crucial, ensuring access to food and avoiding the watchful eyes of predators. Seasonal changes amplify these patterns. During periods of heavy rain, streams swell and the mud thickens, forcing terrestrial animals to adjust their routes and schedules. Cold, fog-laden nights push gorillas and other species to seek sheltered feeding areas or rest in positions that require less energy expenditure. In the drier months, animals follow the water, concentrating in areas where moisture sustains both plants and prey. The environment dictates the strategy, and adaptation is constant. Movement in Virunga is not random. Every creature, from the smallest insect to the heaviest gorilla, interprets the signals left by the forest. The smell of a recently grazed clearing, broken leaves indicating feeding activity, the distant calls of other groups. Tracking, perceiving, and responding become second nature, a daily choreography of survival. Predators also follow these patterns. Leopards learn where antelopes and duikers are likely to feed, adjusting their patrols and ambush points accordingly. Even the stealthy hunter is influenced by the seasonal and spatial rhythms of its prey. These movements, though smaller in scale than the migrations of the vast plains, are no less vital. They reflect the constant balance between energy, risk, and opportunity. Survival in Virunga is not only about finding food, it is about reading the landscape, understanding its subtle signals, and moving wisely within its limitations. Here, life is never still. Every day is a journey, every decision matters, and every movement, no matter how small, shapes the delicate balance between predator, prey, and the ever-changing forest. In the mountains, survival follows those who follow the land itself. In the Virunga Mountains, life is a constant negotiation between hunger and survival, strength and caution, predator and prey. Every species, from the smallest insect to the mighty mountain gorilla, plays a role in a delicate balance that has evolved over millennia. Here, no creature exists in isolation. Each depends on the others, consciously or unconsciously, to sustain the intricate web of life within the forest. Predators shape the behavior of prey, and prey shape the behavior of predators. Leopards move silently through the undergrowth, and their presence keeps antelopes and duikers alert and constantly moving. This vigilance prevents overgrazing in a single area, allowing plants to regenerate and maintain the structure of the forest. In turn, the vegetation sustains gorillas, monkeys, and countless smaller creatures, creating layers of interdependence that extend from the canopy to the forest floor. Even gorillas contribute to this balance. By feeding selectively on bamboo and leaves, they influence plant growth patterns, opening paths through dense thickets that allow smaller animals to move and feed. Their movement disperses seeds across the slopes, encouraging new growth and increasing biodiversity. Every action, from a bite of a leaf to a protective stance against a predator, ripples throughout the entire ecosystem. Birds also play a crucial role. Turacos and other canopy dwellers pollinate flowers, disperse seeds, and provide early warnings of predator presence. Insects break down fallen leaves and fruits, recycling nutrients back into the soil and sustaining the very plants that support larger animals. Nothing in this forest functions in isolation. Everything is connected. Seasonal cycles reinforce this fragile harmony. Rainfall, fog, and changes in temperature dictate the availability of food and water, forcing animals to adapt, migrate, and interact in ways that maintain balance. When the rains are heavy, streams swell and vegetation flourishes. When drought arrives, species concentrate near the remaining water sources and competition intensifies, yet the balance persists. Carefully orchestrated by the forces of nature and the decisions of the forest's inhabitants. Even predation serves the overall stability of the ecosystem. When a leopard attacks, it removes weak or less vigilant individuals from the population, ensuring that herbivore groups remain strong and healthy. Every hunt, every escape, every missed opportunity contributes to the forest's long-term resilience. It is a system that could easily collapse, introducing even a small disruption, the loss of a predator, the overexploitation of plants, or human intrusion endangers this fragile harmony. Yet for now, the Virunga Mountains maintain their balance, a living testament to interdependence, adaptation, and survival. Here, life is a web of countless interactions. Every creature, no matter how small, matters. Every movement, every feeding, every call is a thread in a tapestry stretching across the peaks and valleys. In the Virunga Mountains, the forest thrives not because one species dominates, but because all coexist, shaping and sustaining one another in a fragile, beautiful, and enduring harmony. Life in the Virunga Mountains is a continuous negotiation with risk. Every sunrise brings new opportunities and new threats. Survival is never guaranteed. Hunger presses, injuries slow, and competition shapes every decision. In Virunga, every day is a test, and every creature is measured by the harshest standards of existence. For herbivores such as antelopes and duikers, food is never abundant enough to remove vigilance from the equation. Patches of fresh grass or bamboo shoots are scattered, and competition is relentless. Younger, weaker, or slower animals often struggle to access enough food, while the bold or swift secure vital calories. Hunger drives movement, but it also exposes them to predators lurking in the shadows. Predators face their own trials. Leopards stalk in silence, but even a perfectly executed hunt can fail. A poorly calculated leap, a sudden slip in the mud, or an unexpected maneuver by the prey can turn opportunity into emptiness. Hunger persists, forcing hunts to be repeated, each demanding energy, precision, and concentration. The stakes are constant, and mistakes are costly. Injuries add another relentless layer. A gorilla slipping on wet moss, a duiker twisting a leg on rocky terrain, or a bird damaged by a sudden storm may face catastrophic consequences. In a world without human medicine, wounds risk infection. Survival depends on resilience, social support, and an instinctive ability to adjust behaviors. For gorillas, group cohesion can compensate for injuries. Infants are protected. Injured adults receive help from others, but isolation is dangerous. Every day, the forest tests endurance, strength, and adaptability. Competition extends beyond immediate survival. Mating, territory, and access to water and shelter also demand negotiation and often conflict. Dominant silverback males assert their authority, subordinates test boundaries, and younger males wait for their moment, learning the rules of confrontation. Among predators, hunting territories and opportunities are limited, forcing subtle strategies and the use of timing to outmaneuver rivals. Insects and birds also compete for food, nesting sites, and sunlight. Survival is communal, but relentlessly selective. Every encounter in Virunga carries weight. A moment of distraction can end a life. A delayed response to a predator, a miscalculated step on the forest floor, or failure to find water can determine the outcome of a day or a season. Life here is vivid, raw, and unfiltered. It is beauty intertwined with danger, abundance overshadowed by scarcity. Yet within the constant struggle, there is also persistence. Animals adapt, learn, and endure. Antelopes become cautious, gorillas strengthen their bonds, predators refine their hunting strategies, and birds adjust their flight paths to changing conditions. Every challenge overcome strengthens survival skills, reinforcing the intricate balance of this ecosystem. In Virunga, the truth of life is unforgiving. Survival is neither easy nor guaranteed. Every sunrise is a test, every sunset an assessment of what worked and what failed. And those who endure do so not by chance, but by responding to the relentless rhythm of the mountains, moving wisely, hunting with precision, grazing cautiously, and living with a constant and unwavering awareness of the unforgiving nature surrounding them. The Virunga Mountains rise like sentinels above the clouds, their peaks outlined against a sky painted in shades of gold and purple. Mist drifts slowly across the slopes, weaving through bamboo thickets and dense forests, softening the rugged edges of rock and root. The mountains breathe, alive with sound, movement, and life, yet untouched in any significant way by human hands. From this height, the vastness of the wilderness is undeniable. Gorillas move with deliberate grace through the mist, antelopes graze cautiously in sunlit clearings, and birds cut across the sky above the canopy, tracing fleeting lines of color over the forest. Every movement, every sound, every breath is a testament to life persisting in the face of challenge, in a world shaped solely by survival. Predators lurk in the shadowy undergrowth, leopards blending into the foliage with almost invisible grace. Their presence reminds us that danger is woven into the very essence of this place, a constant tension between life and death that drives the rhythm of the forest. Even beneath the soft golden light of sunset, there is an awareness that every step carries consequences, every pause is a calculated decision. Yet despite all its danger, the Virunga Mountains possess a beauty that defies comprehension. Volcanoes glow faintly in the distance, reminding us of the Earth's raw and molten power. Rivers carve silver paths through the valleys, while waterfalls plunge into hidden pools, their spray sparkling like diamonds. Every leaf, every petal, every insect contributes to a living mosaic of color and movement, a portrait of resilience that has endured for millennia. Isolation defines the mountains as much as life itself. Here, the rhythm of existence is not dictated by human schedules, but by the pulses of the earth, the seasons of rain and sun, and the instincts of every creature inhabiting this place. It is a reminder that the Virunga Mountains do not belong to us. They never have. Every tree, every peak, every living being is part of a system older than memory, a web of life that thrives independently of human presence. And yet the future of this world, so remote and wild, rests paradoxically in our hands. Protection, understanding, and respect are the only ways we can honor its existence. Because although survival here is earned daily by gorillas and duikers, eagles and insects, the endurance of the forest itself now depends on our decisions. In this final panorama, the mountains stretch endlessly, mist and sunlight blending into a living tapestry of life, beauty, and danger. The wind carries the scent of damp earth, leaves, and volcanic smoke. Silence, interrupted by the distant call of a bird or the subtle crack of a predator moving through the foliage, fills the valleys. The Virunga Mountains do not belong to us. They never have. But their future may depend on whether we choose to protect what we barely understand. Here, on the edge of a world we can barely glimpse, the forest, the peaks, and every creature within endure in their fragile and unbreakable harmony, a reminder that life, in its rawest and most unforgiving form, continues regardless, astonishing and eternal. The Virunga Mountains, majestic and enduring, have existed for a long time beyond human dominion. Yet, in recent decades, our presence has left an indelible mark. Poaching, driven by the demand for bushmeat and the illegal wildlife trade, has threatened gorilla populations and disrupted the dynamics between predators and prey. Every individual lost has consequences that extend far beyond itself, weakening social structures and reducing genetic diversity. Deforestation intensifies these pressures. Logging, agricultural expansion, and constant tree-cutting fragment habitats, forcing species to concentrate in smaller and more vulnerable areas. Antelopes and duikers move through an increasingly divided landscape, while predators follow them, constrained by shrinking territories. Even the forest floor, once rich in decomposing matter and new growth, shows the scars of human activity. Conflict in the region has further complicated conservation efforts. Political instability, armed conflicts, and the displacement of communities have created challenges both for local wildlife and for those tasked with protecting it. Park rangers risk their lives to safeguard endangered species, and the mountains themselves become settings where human survival and wildlife preservation collide. Yet, amid these threats, hope persists. Conservation programs have succeeded in stabilizing and even increasing gorilla populations. Anti-poaching patrols, community involvement, and habitat protection demonstrate that human beings can act as guardians, not only as exploiters. Silverback males now thrive where they once stood on the brink of disappearance, a testament to resilience, both of the forest and of our capacity for care. In the Virunga Mountains, human beings are paradoxical forces, destroyers and protectors, intruders and custodians. Their decisions will determine whether these peaks remain a sanctuary of life or whether the delicate balance forged over millennia will collapse. The mountains endure, but their future is in our hands. But what do you think? Let us know in the comments below, and if you want more, don't forget to visit the Grand Canyon.